Hey, everybody, and welcome to Honest to Pod, where each week we pick something to ramble on about. Current events,
Personal growth,
big daddies.
and eating all of the foods all of the time.
That's true. I'm Ashley McAllister,
And I'm Matthew Alley.
and this is episode 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90.
For That's good.
Yes, I liked how our two things connected, because when I talk about big daddies, I'm talking about this Big Daddy chocolate bar that I got from M&S.
I've never seen that before.
This is a £5 chocolate bar,
Ooh.
£5.25. It's called the Big Daddy, and it's chunky chocolate bar with caramel peanut butter and roasted peanut pieces.
Oh my days.
It's the type of Big Daddy that melts in your mouth.
It must be incredible.
It is
It has to
delicious.
Oh my God.
It is one of the best things that happened to me this week. is having the Big Daddy here.
So with the new COVID rules and having been back at home now, I used to go shopping with my mum every week, but now she's like, Matt, I'm not going out there. I don't want to put us in this. So you can go shopping. And so I have to go shopping for the food.
She's so thoughtful like that. You can
go. Yeah, so it's good. But then it feels like a lot of pressure because my mum's a little bit like, I don't know if you've been shopping with your parents or your mum or whatever, but like having moved away from home and stuff, like I shop in my way, which is I really don't get, for one person, like you don't get that much. I tend to go in with a plan for the most part and don't really veer too much from it. I'm not I'm not browsing and picking out, like, because I'm I feel like millennials at a certain age are like, I can't eat all these snacks and I'm not gonna have all these crisps, isn't it? Whereas that's for like home. So then when my mum, she's like, okay, let's just get 3 packets of cookies here and then like 4 bags of crisps, and things. So when I'm by myself, I feel like I need to shop like my mum and not myself. But I accidentally spent like £230 in one shop the other day, and she was like, why did you get all this stuff? And I was like, I don't know why I got all this stuff. I just wanted to be like you. She was like, I would never do this, and I was like, I don't know.
So my mum doesn't go grocery shopping. She does it all online, which is actually really handy. So
you can't browse online. You have to know what you want and get it.
Yeah, that's what she loves about it. And now she has her basket. She copies the basket over every week, and then she'll make changes as she wants. So if she fancies something different, she'll just add it in or take something out. It's the way I shop here as well. Like I used to go shopping. I used to go day by day and pick up what I wanted, but I just now get a weekly Tesco delivery. It is bad because I got stuff the other day and the dates were really bad on it.
The dates are terrible. And now that I'm with my mum, so one of the things I've increased is like vegetables. So here we only have carrots. That's it. Before I got here, all they ate was carrots every week.
Worst vegetable too.
It's not the worst vegetable. Shut up.
It is disgusting.
Are you joking?
I don't like sweet veg.
Oh, okay. I like sweet veg. You don't like corn then?
I like sweet corn, but again, I think I find sweet corn very different, like because it's so small. But like parsnips, sweet potatoes, carrots, anything like that, I'll eat, but they're like low on my list.
It's like sweet root vegetables. One thing they didn't have in this house is greens, though. So I'm trying to get broccoli in the rotation. Rockets, salads.
Sprouts.
My mom's been living off sprouts since Christmas happened. They're not good. They're not good.
Sprouts are brilliant.
No, they're not. They're not good.
How do you cook your sprouts?
I don't cook sprouts, but the way that my mom does is she boils them to oblivion, so they're nice and mushy.
First of all, that is not how you cook sprouts. All you have to do is sprouts. This is how you do it. Bit of oil in a frying pan. Get your sprouts, cut them in half. Take off any dead leaves around the outside. Put them raw into the frying pan with the oil for about 15 minutes on a medium heat. Get them burnt, a little bit soft. At the end, squidge of lemon juice, and you serve it on the plate. And you can put all the things in there, like thyme, if you have time, put some thyme in there, some chopped up bacon, if you want some bacon in there, which we do at Christmas. A little splash of port. It's also nice. Port, yeah, just a little splash of port. But okay. Lemon juice, my go-to would be sprouts, pan fried, squidge of lemon juice at the end, and then a little season of Parmesan cheese. Just
any vegetable is good if you cover it in cheese and fry it in fat. To be fair.
This is our new segment, Cooking with Ash.
I don't even know if Ash is a good or a bad cook. Over Christmas, he invited me for dinner. It was before Christmas. I don't even know when it was. At some point before the year, and we had this like debate. I don't know if it's a debate where it is, but when you invite someone for dinner, I think that you cook for the person who comes for dinner. But I don't think Ashley necessarily agrees with that.
Right, let's break it down. I asked you to come for dinner, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you get dinner?
I got fed.
You got food, which at dinner time is called dinner. You got a meal. It was well balanced. It was a delicious meal.
It was prepared by someone else.
Was it delicious? I'm not asking who made it. Was it delicious?
It was all right.
Was it well balanced?
We had pie, greens, and mash. We must have. Do we have mash?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, so it's a good mix.
I love pie. And as a gluten-free pie, it was excellent.
There you go. So not only did you not have to make yourself dinner, I made you dinner. And what it sounds to me is that you're ungrateful. Now, given that I did not make any of the food myself and I heated it all up in the oven because M&S had pre-made it, I think that given that I pay extra for M&S food because it is expensive, that sort of takes away from me having to prepare it myself. Plus, that also meant I got to spend more time with you because I hadn't seen you in a while.
I just think like, you know, because you invited me over and then he said, oh, Matt, I've got some food. Do you want something? It's a bit different. Say, please come over for dinner. I would love you to come over for dinner. I'm just saying. But, you know, it was delicious and I'm not ungrateful. I thought it was really nice. And I said to you, because you were like, oh, the excuse you gave at the time wasn't that. The excuse at the time you said was, oh, I'm short on time. So this is why I got it because, you know, I'm a busy girl. And I was like, I could have eaten before I got here because it was well late as well, wasn't it? It was like 8:30 and I was starving. So it really helped, obviously, then.
Well, you didn't get here to 7.
Yeah. And it's not so much that. The food was really nice and I appreciate it. We had a lovely evening. I just don't know what your cooking is like because you haven't cooked for me. You provided a meal, absolutely, and I appreciate that. I just don't know if you can cook. And you always talk about how good your Christmas meal is. And then this year when you came back, you were like, the meal wasn't that good. And I was like, oh, shit.
Did I say that?
Oh, my God. You forget everything. Yeah.
I don't think our meal was that bad this Christmas.
You didn't say it was that bad. You didn't say it was that good. Obviously, the turkey was an issue. The vegetables your mum made was an issue.
Oh, yes. So the turkey was different because we had a turkey crown, which means it's drier because there's no turkey legs. So to me, I've already said to Mum, never get a crown again on your life. Never get a crown again. Also, Mum was in charge of the vegetables and she forgot to put them on. So whenever the meal was ready to get served, the vegetables were like, oh, I need to put them on. And I'm like, Mum, again, do not drink port before 12 o'clock in midday because this is what happens. So it wasn't raw. It wasn't bad. I mean, we made a really nice roast the other day. Yesterday we had a really nice roast.
I'll never know.
Cook any of it.
You didn't cook any of it. See,
I've cooked good food. I have to cook you a meal now.
You do, of course you do.
Whenever we're able to mix, I'll cook you a meal. Apart from this, anything else exciting happening in your week?
Not exciting, but there's an issue, and the reason why I said it in the title is this: I cannot stop eating. I mean, like, I feel like, and I'm pretty bad for eating loads of food, but I can't stop it. And I feel like I'm never full. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about this. Like,
what type of things are you eating?
In the evening, I have a lot of cereal. We have a lot of cookies here, like I said. Quite sweet things.
200 pounds worth of cookies.
Yeah. But it's quite late as well, is what I'm saying. Like, the food I'm eating is like from like 8 p.m. onwards. I just need to stop eating. Yeah, so, how about your week? How's it been?
Yeah, it's been fine. I did just my runs. I did a really horrible workout on Wednesday. I've actively been eating less. Like, I like to eat around 5 or 6, which the other guys I live with think that's really early. They like to eat about 7, half 7.
It's really early, and that's the time my mum eats. That's why I'm getting hungry as well, because it's so late, so early.
Yeah, well, then I eat then, and I usually then have like a couple of snacks in the evening. But I've cut down on those snacks. I just have one like healthy snack, like a banana or something. But, and then get to bed, and it's fine. Should we jump into it?
Yeah.
Before we do.
Oh, God, every week.
Exciting news that we've got another Patreon this week.
It is every week so far.
It is every week. Let's hope we keep it up.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, Matt, do you mind telling people what Patreon is?
Yes. So Patreon is a website where you can become patrons of this lovely podcast. So if you listen and enjoy, or not, you might hate it and still listen, you can pledge some money. So we've got 3 tiers. And now they're in pounds, I think, which is good for us, but they can be in euros or dollars if you want. And we've got basic P, bougie P, and then we've got the sugar daddy level, and it helps us continue the podcast because we do have costs, but we'd also like to grow, and that comes with paying for advertising and such. So yeah. And we've been very fortunate this year to get a new one each week, which is outstanding.
It's brilliant. This is brilliant. So thank you to all our lovely Patreons. We had a Patreon who joined us last year and then paused their Patreon during our down season and then rejoined again this week, which is great. We want to make this your conversation as well. So that's why we encourage you, especially Patreons and anyone who's not Patreon, to get involved in the conversation. So you'll see that Matt more than me, because Matt's really good at it, but posts a lot on social media and asks for engagement. So, and so without further ado, let's go in to topics.
All right.
Yeah. So, Matt, obviously we had the remarkably handsome Brian Sims on last week.
Honestly, he's so handsome, right? And then he shared it on Facebook, which got some, I don't know why I've just segued to this, but then people were just like, oh, listen now because you're fit. To him, they're going to listen to the episode because he's fit, which is excellent news. One person said, I'll listen, but you need to sort out the name of the podcast. I was like, excuse me?
Where did they say this at?
On Facebook. On Brian Sims' post. In it. I was like, Honest to Pod's an excellent name, I think.
It's a good name.
Yeah, you did really well with it. But I was like, you're rude, but I won't say anything because I want you to listen. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you are listening to this right now, you are very much appreciated, but don't come for our name.
It's a good name.
It's a really good name.
Anyway, we had Brian Sims on last week.
Lovely guy. Great to have a chat. But as we mentioned, his episode came out the day after the inauguration. And because we recorded it before the inauguration, I thought we'd start off this episode by just talking about how amazing the inauguration was.
It wasn't all amazing. There were most of it was. I don't think all of it.
Okay, let's talk about the good things first.
Okay.
Right. Good things about the inauguration was, in my opinion, I thought Biden's speech was brilliant. It was unifying. It was happy. It was emotive. I thought it was a really good speech.
My mom's so funny. She was like, oh my God, they've moved Coronation Street for the inauguration. Why would they do that? It's not even in this country. And I was like, yes, they did. It's important everywhere, Mum.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the biggest, most powerful countries in the world. It's the biggest, most powerful country in the world.
Yeah.
And for the first time in 4 years, somebody who is hinged is at the driving seat.
Well, we hope so.
In my opinion.
But some of the actions that he's had within the first week and the first day seem to be very positive.
Yeah, and I think, another great thing about the inauguration, but it was not so much the inauguration, is the new VP. So, and I think I put this on my Facebook or my Instagram post of the day, but I remember waking up on the day after the inauguration 4 years ago and just feeling so shit. Like, I just was so confused about how this could happen. Like, how can somebody who is a TV person, an outspoken TV personality, be now president? It just didn't feel right. Something wasn't right. And, given the 4 years that the world has had under his Twitter rants and crazy executive orders he's pushed through. And it sounds so strange to say, but the rise in white nationalists, who would ever thought that from 2016 to 2020, there would be a rise in white nationalism?
Is it a rise in white nationalism?
Well, I guess
or just more open?
More open. A rise in awareness of white nationalism, maybe.
Yeah.
I would be like, fuck. This is crazy.
It's actually, yeah. Well, that's the thing about Trump is he's always been someone who basically allows people to say the things that they really truly feel when it comes to those views in particular.
Yeah.
There's never been someone in place who would be politically powerful enough to allow for such hate speech, and he's allowed that. He's allowed people who have views that are deemed incorrect, which is, you know what, I get it, but, and obviously like a lot of the views are very, 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 very oppressive. But you know, if someone is there saying what you're saying is right, it makes sense why, if you had these beliefs and someone saying believe what you want, that it would solidify those people's thoughts. Like I get that. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's a good thing he wasn't there.
Well, this is the other thing. Another good thing is that he wasn't there. What I thought was hilarious of how not that I'm surprised, but the guy lacks class. He snuck out the back door, took off his helicopter, did his little speech. I think Melania Trump is now so over it. She left in that somber black outfit, did the costume change on the plane, left like she's going to some hippie parade. And then like the press was there, and he stopped to like talk to like press and stuff, and she was just like, "Fuck this, I am done." Head me straight to the nearest divorce attorney because I am done with this shit. That's not what she did. But
I wonder if she will break up with him, or if they will get a divorce or something.
I don't know.
What's next for Trump?
Well, I think he's hell bent on starting his own social media channel.
And like he wants a new party or something, isn't it? A new political party.
Yeah, he's going to start a new political party but I think to me, as if I was a Republican, I would be. I guess I'm guessing there's certain branches of Republicans out there that think I don't want to vote Democrat. And I guess it's the same in like how we just had in Northern Ireland. A lot of Catholics or a lot of people who are Protestant don't really believe in what the DUP stands for, but they don't want to vote for the other party. So it's like, I have no choice but vote for this. Yeah, and do you know what? I think maybe another party's needed because Trumpism is so extreme that there's a little bit of a middle ground that I'd hope a lot of Republicans fall into that isn't so hateful.
Yeah, I mean, they'll never be in power. It's like in, Britain kind of thing where there's only two parties really that will come into play, and it'll be the same in America for sure. But, with what's happened.
We have those parties in the UK. We have those parties.
Yeah. Gordon, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he was on Celebrity Big Brother, but he started his own party for that same reason as well. I can't remember his name. George? No, I don't know what his name is, but he did one. Yeah. I love saying all the different names in the ballots when I when I vote, because some of them are mad.
But yeah, I love Lady Gaga. She did the national anthem in a very Gaga way. So
this is where I think people just be like, "Oh my god, she was amazing. She was only okay. She was a bit pitchy at parts. It wasn't." The problem with Lady Gaga is, right, she makes great music and she does good club stuff, but her voice itself, she's got an ugly voice, right? It don't sound.
Stephanie has an amazing voice.
She's got a good range. Clearly her songs are very good. Just talking about like vocal quality, so singing a ballad or the national anthem, she doesn't have a pretty sounding voice, and she struggled. She struggled in that song. She did.
No.
She looked wonderful. The dress, the dove, yes. The national anthem.
I felt sorry for J-Lo having to come out and follow that.
So I think J-Lo actually did really, really well, considering J-Lo is not a vocalist. I think we can all agree. She ain't a vocalist. All right. She's a performer.
No.
She can dance. She is beautiful. I love her acting, right? I do. I love her in acting. I love hearing her speak. I love her presence, right? Her songs are good. She can't sing. She sang really well for her.
It was very mellow. Yeah, it was good.
And she's like, let's get loud. Cracked me up.
Well, she got heat for promoting her own stuff during that moment.
God. She did. Where did that come from?
I don't know.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
but I thought her performance was better. I thought her performance was better than the national anthem.
You're wrong. Absolutely wrong. Next, you'll be saying you thought Garth Brooks was better than the national anthem.
I don't know who that is.
He sang Amazing Grace.
In the inauguration?
Yeah, he sang after J-Lo.
I didn't watch the whole thing, to be fair. We had to fucking move a sofa, so I had to watch videos, which was annoying. But I wouldn't have watched Garth Brooks anyway. I have no idea.
He's an old school country singer, famous. But yeah, he sang Amazing Grace. It was good.
Was it good?
Yeah, I thought he was good, but I like country music, so he came out in a little country hat, took it off. People were talking about how he might have hair plugs. But
nice.
We're on different pages of Lady Gaga. I thought Stephanie nailed it. I thought she was brilliant.
I love Lady Gaga more and more, especially because of her being so unapologetically herself. And she's very, very, like, I don't think she makes many mistakes fashion-wise. Her newer stuff is actually wicked, her music. And it's always been good. Like, it's always been good music, I think. She's just not a balladeer, is the word, isn't it? She's just not a vocalist.
I think Bad Romance is one of the best pop songs ever released.
I think that's really good. I love Telephone. Telephone. Oh my God. Yeah. When that song came out, the first time I ever dressed in drag was as Beyonce from Telephone. And I got an old picture of it. I found it the other day. It came up as memory, and I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I love that song so much.
I'm Born This Way is obviously a classic. What else about Bernie? How can we not mention Bernie Sanders?
Did you see? I didn't see it at the time, like when he was there. But did anyone comment? Did anyone like of the commentators actually comment on him sitting there looking kind of like bored and I don't know, crumpled?
I don't think they mentioned him being crumpled. I remember him being on screen, and I remember I was watching my housemate, and we both looked at each other and laughed. It's like, you don't have to be there. It was an invite. You could say no. I just love. I clocked it when he was walking down the stairs, his little mittens, and I thought those mittens are to die for. So I put it on my Instagram story, and he had his little meals. He obviously goes about his day. He's like, today I have to go collect my meal, put my mittens on because it's gold, grab a cup of coffee, go to the inauguration, then go to the dentist. He's clearly like, he just fitted it in like it's just another day.
I'm down though. I'm down. Like, he's like, I've done this. I've been there, done it. It's a good day. It's all right.
Can we be thirsty for a minute? Have you seen President Biden when he was younger?
Yeah. Have you only just seen it?
No, I seen it ages ago. Ages ago. But obviously it rerouted itself in the gay channels.
Yeah. He does look really, really fit. He looks like someone, I don't know if you know Ian Bowden's like old housemate, someone we know, but he looks just like him, I think, Greg, the old physio.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it looks good. I feel like something's been done to it to make it look even better. I would say he's like a 7. Like he's not like whoa, but he's like, okay, I do you.
Yeah, he's a handsome guy. He's a handsome guy. Anything else from the inauguration, really? Nothing.
The most important things. Oh my God, you've missed out so much.
Oh my God, I did. Right at the top of my list. Right at the top of my list. The poet.
Amanda Gorman,
yes. The poet. Youngest poet laureate in America.
Well, she's the very first young poet laureate. So she's the...
Oh, okay.
They had like the poet laureate and then they have the young one. And I think so. But it says, yeah, she is She's in Harvard. She got
She's
a speech
talented.
impediment. What annoys me, annoys me, okay, is someone can be at Harvard and be a poet laureate and still, it's like TV, which really annoys me with like many TV shows, because I was watching this show called yesterday, It's a Sin, and everyone's talking about it, and they're in the Isle of Wight, and the secret closeted gay men in the Isle of Wight are fit. And I'm like, if you're in the Isle of Wight, which is a small island south of the country, they're not going to be fit, especially if they're closeted. You from Limavady know that they're pretty much always the closeted ones. They're trolls.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you were to watch like Scandal, for example, and then they have like a young black beautiful poet laureate, you're like, she can't both be this intelligent and this beautiful. But the bitch is a real life person. Amanda Gorman is a real life person, and I was like, fucking hell, she is gorgeous.
Stunning.
Her eyes are like
beautiful.
You know, she could have went up there with no makeup and be fine. You know it.
Yeah. And she's talented.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I don't like to only judge women based on their looks, Matt. It's 2021. We don't do that anymore. Like, she's talented.
But how can you be so talented and so beautiful? And how confident did she read though? That is it. Yeah. Like, she had that constant like half smile on her face, and her eyes were just like, she was in the moment, right? But none of it was forced. Do you know what I mean? She wasn't like, there was not a single like nerve. It felt like she knew what she was going to say, and she said it.
She said it. It was a beautiful poem. She delivered it beautifully. I was in awe. I was in awe.
I was like, a poem for 5 minutes. I was like, fuck, this is not going to be good. It's like a wedding speech, when they're not good. You're like, I need to see this, but this is not going to be good. And I was like, oh, she's good.
She's good. She captivates. She was captivating.
Yeah.
Her enunciation, everything was just so well delivered. It was
her red headband.
Subtle,
Prada, apparently. Prada.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to the inauguration, you may as well.
She was excellent. She's going to be so big. When you're just going to be so famous. And like the day before that, she must have had like, I don't know, like 10,000 followers on Instagram. Then an hour after the inauguration, it was 1.1 million. And then the next day, it was 2.5.
Yeah. I'm one of them. I was like,
yeah,
follow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else from the inauguration did you like?
Wow. The second most important thing.
What?
Michelle Obama and her hair. Oh my god. Oh my days. How can you, that outfit?
No. Fair.
The hair.
I didn't have it written down because
the belt.
I don't know why.
The two most important things are Amanda Gorman and Michelle Obama.
She did look like she was coming to slay.
Do you see her hair?
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Somebody compared her hair to Trump's inauguration versus this inauguration. Have you seen it?
Her hair, her own hair.
Yeah. But like, clearly she's going to Trump's inauguration. She made zero effort. She's like, fuck this shit. I'm just going to go and then bugger off. But for Biden's, it was like, I am having a show. And she woof, 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 whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah. But winter coats, I love a winter coat, but winter coat season with Kamala Harris, Michelle Obama, Dr. Biden, like these coats. Yes.
It was, they all looked phenomenal. They did. It was very classy. Like it's a very classy look. The coats, the gloves. Yeah.
Well, like the color purple was like a conscious decision. Michelle Obama's was a shade of purple. Kamala Harris had purple. Joe Biden had a purple bow tie. But in particular for the women, so purple is like the color between sort of the red and the blue. So that is why. So it's supposed to be like a merging of the two parties. And in particular for the women, purple is the color of the suffragettes. So it was like in homage to the suffragette movement as well. So that was supposed to be significant of having shades of purple. I know that Dr. Harris didn't have a purple, but someone else did. I can't think of who it was. But it was another woman that had purple. There should be someone who's like a man who's in a dress. Imagine if they wore like a tux, but a tux dress. I think there should be a space for a Billy Porter Jr. to win and become the president, and then not just have, because they were like, oh, the men are wearing Ralph Lauren. End of story. Whereas
male fashion's so boring.
Yeah, and I just think you could make it so much more interesting.
Like Lady Gaga's Dove. Did J-Lo looked beautiful. She was wearing head to toe Chanel or something, I think.
And she's all in whites, pretty much. Yeah, she was beautiful. But J-Lo can do no wrong image-wise for me.
It's true. It's true.
To be fair.
Remarkable is what I'm going to just label as redefining gender norms. It's tagging on to the bottom, and obviously with I was saying what I wrote on Instagram was that it's amazing that people are waking up, kids are waking up, and it is now normal to see. They'll grow up thinking it's normal to see people of color, females in the highest seats in office in America. For people like us, it's like we're like blown away by it. But for these young kids, they'll grow up thinking this is perfect, and that'll give them ambitions and dreams, which is amazing. And it's really nice to see Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, be an inspiration to people, females everywhere. It's amazing. But what's also interesting is her husband, Dougie Boy, is the first second gentleman, which we've never had before. I was listening to something the other day, and there was talking.
I love how you say we've never had.
We've never had that.
I mean, I don't know if it'd be in like other countries that isn't the US, but we've never had it in the US. And we're also not the US. We are not the US.
I'm sorry, just it's because Brian Sims was on last week, and it's just rolling over. Sorry.
Future husband.
I was listening to this thing, and it was saying how Doug had given up a very high-flying law career to support VP Harris in her role. And it made the interesting point in that this woman said that her and her husband don't use the terms husband and wife because they just connotate this sort of husband before wife, and the wife should take a back step to the husband. Not everyone will like perceive it that way, but it's a common perception. And that's why they refer to each other as partners, because they are partners. They're in everything together. They raise their kids together. It's not about the woman should do this and the man should do this. We come at this as a team. And I just thought it was very interesting that he gave up his career to support her, which is brilliant.
Absolutely. You know, women are always expected to give up their careers for everything, for their, to raise a family, as it were, and to let the husband provide in these situations. And actually, you don't need to sit to those roles, and people have different responsibilities. And this is an important opportunity for her and their family. So it's an amazing step, an amazing sacrifice, because it is a sacrifice as well. You do have people have their own dreams and their own wants and goals. But I guess in a relationship, part of that is sacrifice.
And that's why I think that the term partner is important, because that's why it's good for, in my opinion, couples should talk through all this to get, what's the best outcome for us as a team rather than us as individuals, because once you put that ring on that finger, it's a team. Even before that. Even before that. My favorite, Dwayne Wade, as well. He's often criticized, even articles that he's given interviews or they have. So it'd be like Dwayne Wade and his wife, and then he'll be like, no, Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, or Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. But he's not like, he'll actively push against anywhere that would be like, Wade and his wife, because she's not a tag along. She's her own person and an equal partner in this relationship, and has her own profile as well. So absolutely. But that just seems so crazy as well, because she's also very famous.
He's massively famous, but even
not saying it's right or wrong either way, but it's just so strange that somebody would be like, oh, Dwayne Wade and his wife, as if she's not a common household name as well. Like we all know who Gabrielle Union is because she was in that amazing film Bring It On.
It cracked me up because a lot of people, some people put, so Michelle Obama got out of the car, and they were, and this I'm not mad at. I wouldn't be mad if like a newspaper or something did this, if they put Michelle Obama and her husband. Because she was, as soon as she came out, everyone was like mad crazy, because she destroyed it. She's got this aura about her. But yeah, imagine Michelle Obama and her husband.
Could you imagine? I could imagine. But then I also think Michelle Obama should run for presidency.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
I would vote for her.
I don't know what her like acumen is when it comes to politics, and I'm sure over the years and everything she has. But you have a big team. I guess it's got to do with the one. She's got her own career, and she's got her new podcast. She's got a podcast, and she's got her books and stuff. And I'm sure she's got a thriving business. She can do.
Michelle, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on our podcast.
Yes, we are in an asking mood these days, so maybe.
I asked Miley Cyrus. She didn't get back to me. I
She get
guess
back
she's
to
just
you.
busy. No, she's just busy.
It's true. It's true. I get
Yeah, yeah,
that.
I get that. She's always busy. Cool. Well, that's all I want to talk about the inauguration and how I thought it was just an amazing day and what an amazing, exciting 4 years we have to look forward to.
Well, it would be interesting to see what happens, because we're all excited about that there's a change, and I think you can take positives from what has happened, right? I feel like in the world and things in life, you do have to see the worst to be able to get better, and it's unfortunate that has to happen. It's not a great thing that has to happen, but we've, in many different ways, both the pandemic, everything, we've seen the worst, and this is where you learn from it, and you bounce back. And okay. Well, I wanted to talk about a little bit about this is probably more around the UK, I guess, but there is a larger question about just what government's meant to provide. But within the UK, over the past year with the pandemic, free school meals have been up for debate and contention over what the government should provide for students in schools. So currently, well, before the pandemic, there might be kids who are on a lower income who have their lunch provided for them while they're at school, whereas usually, especially in secondary school, you pay for your own lunch. With the pandemic, we've had different provisions. In the first wave, we had nothing at the start, and then there was vouchers given to parents to then be able to go to the shop and provide lunch for them. And we've had a famous footballer called Marcus Rashford who has been advocating for free school meals for the most impoverished people within the country. And it got me thinking, especially because I guess in the environment that I am around here, and just seeing different posts online, different trolls, but sometimes people that I know, I think that that parents should be providing for their kids no matter what, right? And it just got me thinking, and this is a genuine question, what is the remit of the government? What are they supposed to provide? Especially because one of the things is paying for free school meals over half terms, so after through school holidays, because the Tories said they wouldn't provide lunches over the holiday period, and then that got a lot of backlash. But they didn't do that before, so I just had that in my mind, really. So what are your thoughts in terms of? And I don't want to talk about the lunch they did provide recently. I don't want to talk about that just yet.
Well, okay.
What you can
I
do.
was literally going to jump in and say that one loaf of bread, one can of beans, 2 satsumas, 2 slices of ham, 5 slices of cheese, 1 apple, 2 baked potatoes, and 5 bottles of water does not a weekly shop make.
That's 2 weeks. That's 10 days.
2 weeks?
That's 10 days worth of lunches.
What type of diet is the government putting the people on here?
So they had the provisions they gave. So the guidelines they gave to the companies to do it were to be things that you didn't need to necessarily make. Right, so you make sandwiches, but they didn't make bread, for example, or these full meals. Although, they were like, why did they give them water? That's supposed to be a waste of money. It turns out, then, so I put this question out, and the companies that were providing the lunches were, friends of people within the Tory government.
Of course, they were.
So you're just like, okay, but where did it? So in my head, I'm like, what are the responsibilities of the parents? Because again, I put this out and someone was like, well, if you can't afford to raise 3 kids, don't have them. And on the news, this is my mum, she was complaining. She was like, well, this woman's saying that, she wants the government to pay for their lunches, but she's there with a full face of makeup and nails. I get my nails done in the shop, and the gels, they cost like £35. And acrylics and things like that, they cost a lot of money. I could see why if you saw someone on the news with a full face of makeup and their acrylics and nails done, complaining about the fact that the government aren't providing lunches for their kids might be contentious, I guess.
I mean, it's hard to say because, first of all, we don't know who that woman is. Her sister could do her nails for free and do her hair for free. We don't know. But it does raise that question. It is, it's a fair point to make in the sense of, if you can't afford 3 kids, don't have 3 kids. There's people out there, and I think it's always going to be a debate where people out there work hard every week, pay their taxes, and can't afford to do a lot of the stuff they want to do. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, you see it all the time. They'll go on This Morning with Holly and Phil, and they'll be like, well, I'm a mum of 7 and I want the government to give me a bigger house because I've outgrown this one and I'm expecting twins. Something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why should the government give you, I'm not saying this, but why should the government give you more? It sounds like what you need is your tubes tied. That's what it sounds like. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm saying people could perceive that. And it's true. If you can't afford to feed 7 kids, don't have more. If you can't afford to house the kids you have, don't have more. Because then it puts the government against the wall. Not to saying that the government is. I'm not defending the government here, but because they have to. They have to give you a bigger house.
It's true, and I do believe in free school meals, like 100%. And
I do as well.
And I asked, I understood the point about, okay, well, you didn't provide free school meals over half term before. Why would you now? Do you think you need to consider the current situation we're in, where more people are earning less or nothing based on, furloughs, redundancies? Do you need to take that into consideration at the current moment in time?
I do. I think the government has. I think personally, it's very easy for me to look back in hindsight. I know we've talked about this before, I think offline, but I think the government has a lot to answer for, and I hope a big inquiry is put into it about how they've handled this pandemic. I think that given that the state of the country is in the way it is, this is a key time where the government should step up and supply those ones who, might not be able to go out and work because businesses are shut or because they have to stay home and look after kids because schools are shut. They should be providing support for them regardless of what their financial situation is. I mean, obviously, if they're got shitloads of money, then it doesn't matter. But like for people who work hard and, can still afford it, it doesn't mean they should have to make that expense because we're in such an unusual circumstance the world's in. So yeah, the government should 100% step up. Now, given that the stories and given that they feel so comfortable giving themselves pay rises when the world is falling apart, it really makes me question anyone who is comfortable now to defend the government right in this situation. Because I posted up a couple of weeks ago about a really lame thing, but it was like 20 miles per hour is the law. And I'm like, what's 20 miles per hour? Like the government's response speed to the pandemic. And somebody's like, well, that's a bit like of a jump, isn't it? And I was like, how dare you? How can you sit there and defend the current government and how they've handled this crisis as if I'm wrong? I mean, it was a bad joke. I get that. But there's no way anybody who is, in my opinion, sane can look at what Boris Johnson has done and said, you know what? This makes sense. Let's give us pay rises while the world is falling apart. I think I might went off topic then.
No, but okay, the reason I brought it up is because not necessarily I believe in it, but I'm really trying my best to understand how you can be like, well, the kids don't deserve food. And the question is if they're asking for it now and we're saying that these people, free school meals shouldn't be given out or any action, it's like, anything, what we see in America now, what we see here, it's highlighting what should have been done before the pandemic. The pandemic is showing, it's not making, it's showing and revealing that the poorest people within the country are already the most affected. It's highlighting even more the disparity, and that even pre-pandemic, we should have had some of these provisions before. Like, it's as simple as that. Kids were already going hungry. If parents, I do fundamentally believe that the government, but the reason why I ask it is because I don't know, like legal wise, what the government are meant to be doing. And I read something just before we did the podcast about someone saying that originally they were going to stand strong on their ideas about not giving for half term and not this. And then people had put out had taken them to trial, or, whatever you want to call it, made some legal claims over their behavior. And so they decided to pull them all back, because if they don't go to trial about the things that need to provide, they don't then need to justify their behavior and then make any changes. Because if someone had said, okay, you do need to provide this, and they say they don't, goes to court, then it's found that they do, the government will then need to make changes and supply more, which they should have done. But just by saying, okay, we're going to give you this free school meal now, whatever trialing process was going to happen was removed, and then you don't have to actually address the long-term ramifications of what the government should or shouldn't be doing. But I struggle to understand why someone will say, my child is going hungry, they need some food. Can you look after us. I do think the government have a requirement to do so. And then if it's parents who can't provide for their kids, and if it's parents who, and I think they're very, very small. I think it's a message that's pushed out, but it's a minority of people, I'd hope, I don't know, that might look after themselves for their own kids. I still think the government have responsibility. It's got to do with education. It's got to do with, you know, child services actually having the ability to check back effectively, but they're probably overworked, you know, and undermanned and understaffed. And so, you know, steps aren't being followed the way it meant to, but I still think that's the government's responsibility. Yeah, I just don't know how you can be like, I just don't think we need to feed these kids. It's not our responsibility.
To me, the government's responsibility is ensuring the survival of the country. Like, it's like, you know, in a broad term, it's like we run this country, and it's our job to make sure that tomorrow is a better day than today.
And it's not even surviving, it's thriving. Like, you know, I feel like as a government, it's like a workplace. You want who you're responsible for to do well, not just to be okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the government's, that is in my opinion, 100% the government's responsibility. What it seems like politicians are only out for is themselves, and by the looks of things, their friends who run food companies and tech companies to build an app that doesn't work. It's so crazy. It's just crazy.
I'd love to be there and see.
I'd love to be flying that wall to be like, what should we talk about today? Well, we talk about this kids' school meals. These kids are dying and going starving and hungry, and families are falling apart. But let's talk about pay rises first. Oh, we've done so well.
Fundamentally, I think we both agree. I just wanted to see if there was an argument. I was just trying to get it out. But even when I'm asking out there, you know, what I find mad, actually, I will say this though. The thing I find, and we spoke about it before the podcast, which I guess it kind of makes sense. Maybe there's a sense of pride in it, especially if you're a woman who feels or has felt like it's your responsibility to look after your kids. I found that it's mostly females that say, well, if you're a mother that can't look after yourself and your children, then you shouldn't, which is interesting. You know, and it shouldn't be men, to be fair. It shouldn't be men because, you know, fuck men. They don't rear these kids in a lot of these situations, and they shouldn't be speaking on behalf of mothers and women. But it's just interesting that then it'll be women that be like, well, you're a bad mother, you know?
But it's also a mother who's never been in a circumstance of desperation. Like,
I think it might be the opposite.
Really?
I think it's the ones who have really gone through hard times and actually been able to provide for themselves and their own and their kids. They're like, well, I've done it, so you should be able to do the same.
Maybe. I don't know.
As well as the privileged ones, you know, the privileged few who are politicians' wives and, you know, had kids and had au pairs and had everyone look after them. I do think there is a section of the population where it is, you know, the poorer people that are like, well, you know, this is what we have to work through. This is what we got. And it's my responsibility and only. And if I'm doing it, then you should do it as well.
Did you watch the Matt Hancock thing on Piers Morgan?
I watched it again and I realized I'd watched it already. And I posted it as well because it was one of the most uncomfortable. How do you get politicians who can't answer questions?
I mean, let's ask Brian Sims. It was just, first of all, when he doesn't know, like, the absolute lie that he doesn't know how much his wife or whoever spends on grocery shopping. Because I'm assuming he's portraying that it's not him that does the grocery shopping. Otherwise, he would know that. I need to check into it. So unless they have somebody else who does this grocery shopping for him, I assume it's his wife, the woman in the house.
Or maybe they have someone.
I can't imagine any family would want somebody else to do the shopping for them because it's feeding their kids.
Seriously.
Why would I get somebody who is not going to be eating my food to buy my grocery shopping? They might physically go buy it, but I'm the one that's paying for it, and I'm giving you the list of what to buy.
Okay, I don't know. I don't think that's outrageous.
I think it's outrageous. I think it's outrageous he doesn't know how much he spends a week on food.
I don't think that's outrageous.
Well, just because you spend £200 a week on groceries and cookies and stuff.
Listen, when I started going shopping with my mum, I couldn't believe how little we got for the amount she spent. And she's just like, oh, this meat, £17, I'll take it. I was like, what? I'll take two, please. Where'd you get this money from, bitch? We're in Waitrose just going around. And I'm like, we were on free school meals all this time, you know, really suddenly. Well, because we're all adults now, she doesn't really have to provide for us, and, you know, she's on a little retirement money. She's like, I don't spend money on anything, so it's just food. But she's just more than happy just to be like, oh, you know, for Christmas, she's like, £50 piece of beef. Back in here, she's like, I'm only buying my meat from Waitrose. But wow. Yeah, she doesn't know. I don't know. She spends a lot of money.
I didn't realize you're so posh.
That's why I'm going shopping, Waitrose.
And then, like you said, but then to sit and go on, and it's just so uncomfortable. So when he asked, so why did you vote against it? And he's just like, I'm glad we got this sorted. So why, if you're glad, why did you, like, well, like I said, I'm glad. It's like, you're answering the question. Or do you regret voting for it? I'm glad we've got it sorted. I'm like,
Yeah, and I'll say my N-word, thank you. And I'm like,
Matt
Okay,
Hancock,
so-
you're an absolute joke.
my mum's house loves LBC, the radio station, and they love Good Morning Britain. And they love to complain about what the people say. And so I've seen more of Good Morning Britain with Piers Morgan, because I didn't know that the government had boycotted that show, right?
Yeah.
For 77
Pierce goes in
days. Or something.
hard. Yeah.
But they do go in hard, but they're mad. I guess she needs to, but they're mad negative. Yeah, he needs to say that, but they talk over them. They're very rude. They ask what I deem as impossible questions.
They ask the questions people want to know, I think.
They
I do think
lead
they're-
questions a lot.
I think they are bad on having people on and not letting them speak. Like if you're going to ask, and I understand why Pierce is doing it. You know, he's on a time. He's like, this is only an hour show or 2 hour show. We've got 5 guests to get on after you. You've got 15 minutes. If you're going to sit and spend 20 minutes of that 15 minutes evading the question, I'll ask the question again. I'll ask the question again. I'll ask the question again. You know, and I think sometimes he is right to cut them off when he's with the greatest respect to Piers Morgan. He's been in the industry a long, long time. He knows when waffle's coming. I'm sure he can sense it. I'm sure he can smell it a mile off.
He's one himself.
Oh, of course he is. He used to edit what Daily Mail was it? He used to be editor of the Daily Mail or Mirror or something.
What is interesting is obviously because he's got such a bad reputation, especially along like I'd say like our peers, for example, whether they're gay or straight or whatever. But nowadays, people would be like, "I know I'm not supposed to like Piers Morgan, but you know." Yeah, he did make a point, but then he'll go and do something. He'll do something and then bring up a transgender person on there and be like, "Well, this, that, and the other." You're like, we want to like you so much, we do, but we can't because of this.
Yeah,
he wants to just argue. He doesn't care. He doesn't. I don't even think he has many beliefs. I don't think he cares. He just wants to argue.
Although in that interview, I have to say, I did love, and I absolutely loved how him and Susanna were matched. She had the green dress, the white collar. He had the white shirt and green tie. And I was like, you could be going to a wedding like this. This is lovely.
She's changed. She's a bully now as well.
She has got harder. But then when you sit every day with somebody like Piers Morgan and you want to keep your screen time, you have to be more vocal, I guess.
Plus, I would be frustrated with how the politicians answer or don't answer questions every day. Like, I would get frustrated as well.
What it screams to me is how the government was too scared to go on that show because they're going to get asked questions and put in uncomfortable situations. Like if I was Matt Hancock right now, I'd be like going home crying to my wife and being, I don't want to go back on that TV show again. I think it's too scary.
But then I just can't believe they cannot be prepared to go on it. Like they're meant to be the top people within the government, right? They are it. They need to have media training. Yeah. And they just can't hack it. You can see them getting so frustrated and so angry.
And guys, if you're listening to this, we posted about it on social media. Give it a little share. You know, just share it on your social media. Share it with your dog. Share it with your mom. Share it with your auntie. Whoever. Just share. Share the love. Make it a special podcast.
So remember, on Monday we're going to go back in our segment to do movies with Matt, and I am on a tear. I'm watching movies upon movies upon movies. Beautiful. Have a lovely weekend, Ashley and everybody.
Yeah, everyone have a lovely weekend. And Matt, chat soon.